with separations and divorce rates and premarital pregnancies and epidemic levels. The tradition of the two-parent family is becoming an endangered species. Yet decades of research support the position that the absence of fathers has a devastating effect on children. These are just some statistics that have to do with fatherless families. Half of all fatherless families in America live below the poverty line. Adolescents of fatherless families are more likely to be sexually active and are more likely to commit delinquent acts before 16. Young adults who grow up in fatherless families are more likely to drop out of school, divorce, and engage in drug and alcohol abuse. The best predictor of violent crime and burglary in a community is the proportion of households without fathers. Children with effective fathers score higher on intelligence tests and are more comfortable in new situations. They adapt to change more easily. A father's involvement produces a more self-controlled child who recognizes the need for restraint. 4 major studies of factors leading to the successful development of children have shown that youngsters who have an active participant father demonstrate better thinking ability, increased empathy for others, and a greater ability to rely on their own judgment. Our families today need not only fathers, but they need parents, godly parents. Amen. Who are willing to follow the guidelines that the Word of God has laid down for us according to God's commands for our lives. First of all, for the individual life. That's the reason I began at 13. And not began with the submission of the wife to the husband. You see, this is not just about submitting to one another, nor is it about the dictatorship of the man in the household. If you think that's what it's about, you haven't read this passage of Scripture with much thought. Our families need parents who are faithful, responsible, loving, accountable. But where do we begin? Where do we begin? How about in the home? How about in the home? Fathers and mothers staying together, fathers and mothers loving each other, fathers being there, mothers being there, being good parents to their children. Study after study confirms that growing up in a two-parent family with the father taking an active role in his children's life is, without a shadow of a doubt, according to study after study after study, a distinct advantage for American children.
Amen.
Here's some tips that go along with those statistics. Parents, we just need to be there.
Amen.
We just need to be there. I was sharing just the other night, I forget what group I was sharing with. I shared with so many, but I was talking, maybe it was Rusty Sullivan and some of them out in the hallway after the youth meeting or something that had to do with abortion. And that seems to be one of the issues today. But that not only is there an abortion before the fact, today in our society there's an abortion after the fact. Now, when we talk about abortion, we're talking about death, right? That's what's taking place in our children's lives today. Look at all the deaths that are being created. God forget. I opened up the paper last Monday morning, and down on the front page of the paper was the death of 2 young teenage boys. Good-looking boys from one of the best high schools in the state of South Carolina. Wanda. It is not only the best, it is maybe one of the richest high schools. Sitting right in the middle of Mount Pleasant. 2 nice-looking young boys. A young black boy and a young white boy. Probably came from great-great-parents. But the death of their characters, the death of their parents' character, are going to spend the next 10 years of their lives in prison. That's what I call death, people. To some extent. We just need to be there. Not only do we need to cut out this sinful act of abortion, which we're going to center on that at the end of last Sunday in March, where we're going to have a Right to Life Sunday in our church. We're going to have special guest speaker with us on that day. It's going to follow the Esther Conference that's coming up on the 28th of March. Teaching our young women how to be becoming the woman God wants you to be. Following that up. So we've got some something that, but not only do we need to stop this killing and this sinful act of even thought or thinking about it, and then allowing it to go to our heart and then committing the act itself. That is murder, people.
Amen.
That is murder. But not only is that murder, when we allow ourselves to have a child and then abort that child after birth, it's almost the same thing. When you do not allow yourself to become the parents that God wants you to be, according to His Word. What is the difference? Put your family first. Good parents. Just as this passage of Scripture says, wives, submit to your husbands. That's the same thing for the husbands. It's hand in hand. It's not 50-50. It's 100% give and take. Sharing with one another. Simply because out of love, the love that Christ gave to us. It's putting family first. It's putting wives first. Husbands, wives is putting husbands first. And wives and husbands is putting children first. And children is being obedient.
Amen.
To the commands of your parents and honoring them. Providing a moral compass, this writer says. Fathers and mothers must teach children right from wrong, introducing them to the concepts of responsibility and respect. That's one of the things, that word respect. We have just simply lost evidence of that word. One of these days, Webster is going to print a dictionary where we'll no longer be able to find that word simply because we can't define it. Respect. And also, we need to understand that we're builders. My wife and I, in 1975 or 76, we built our first home. We built it ourselves along with the help of her family of mine. It took us months. I started almost a year in advance drawing the plans for that house. We just didn't go out there one day and buy the property, which was our great-grandparents, and build that thing in one day. It took months, it took weeks, actually, the plans themselves took years. It's the same way. We need to understand, parents, that we are builders. We are builders. It doesn't happen overnight with our children. I think one of the words that I find myself in sharing with parents quite often is the word consistency. We're very, very inconsistent when it comes to our training and behavior styles of training.